and then reappropriated by Thomas Jefferson for the Declaration of Independence.
One of the substances that you've written and talked about the most has been food, processed food, and of course how this contributes to metabolic disease. It seems like our healthcare system is set up, albeit not the best, to treat metabolic problems more than to prevent them. Is it hopeless? Where do you see this going?
Well, right now, we have more money going out for chronic metabolic disease than for everything else. In fact, 75% of our healthcare expenditures are for the diseases that constitute metabolic syndrome. That is, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, lipid problems, cardiovascular disease, cancer, and dementia. You add that up, that's 75% of expenditures. Here's the math. The food industry grosses $1.46 trillion a year, of which $657 billion is gross profit. They're making a huge profit. However, healthcare expenditures are $3.2 trillion, of which 75% is chronic metabolic disease, of which 75% of that could be prevented if we could fix the food problem. Bottom line, you can't have healthcare reform unless you have health reform. And you can't have health reform unless you have diet reform. Now, Obamacare promised that we could put 32 million sick people onto the rolls and that we would pay for it with preventative services. By being able to go to your doctor, you wouldn't have to use the emergency room, which costs 50 times as much. And that's how we would be able to pay for all these people. Turns out that with Obamacare, emergency room visits went up, not down. And costs went so high that 3 of the major insurers opted out. And that was one of the reasons for the election of 2016, focusing on health care. Here's the problem. Obamacare did not address diet, but neither does Trump care, and neither does the current Senate and House bills that are trying to repeal and replace. The bottom line is, until we address the problem of diet, which will also, of course, address the question of pleasure and happiness at the same time, we will not see an improvement in our healthcare system anytime soon. This has to be front and center. In addition, food is 20% of investment, but it is 40% of climate change. Agriculture contributes 40% of climate change. So if people are worried about this problem, as they should be, then fixing America's diet has to be front and center for the 2 biggest problems that we have today: climate change and health care. This is at the center of both of these phenomena, and we will not be able to solve it until we start to address it.